Man, ladies and gentlemen, I am excited for this one. This is going to be a fire podcast and different from my previous ones because I really just been, catching up with some old friends and just having conversation. But I'm excited for this one because it's going to be very value packed for anybody that's interested in marketing, growing their personal brand, their online presence. I believe Mark is going to bring some
I hope this helps,
key
man.
key pieces to
Oops,
the
fire. I gotta turn
equation
this
for you
down.
guys. Mark Newsome, thanks for having me, or thanks for being on the show today, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
It's my honor and pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I know you word around town is they're calling you Mr. Marketing.
That's correct.
How did you well, just before we get into it, how did your path lead you into this whole marketing entrepreneurship journey?
Well, a couple of things. I'm gonna give your audience the super condensed version. Or, I originally started out in a niche industry in the real estate financing sector. Pardon me. It's referred to as papers. It's a fancy way of saying debt. And what we would do is we would go out and find these privately held notes. Maybe in your area they call it trust deeds or whatever it was. And
Mm,
people wanted to sell either what's called a full, the whole thing, or a partial part of it. We would represent private investors who had the money, who basically said, I don't want to go find the stuff. You go find it, bring it to us, we'll finance it. Well,
mm,
when I started in that industry, no, it was like the Flintstones, the marketing. It was antiquated. And I knew that, but I didn't know enough about marketing and promoting and all that stuff. I just knew this stuff sucks. So I started looking outside the industry and I started coming across people like the late, great Gary Halbert for copywriting, legendary direct response marketer, and just brilliant marketer, Jay Abraham. I found Dan Kennedy, and I started finding all these people. A guy named Jeff Slusky, another brilliant guy.
wow.
And before I knew it, I became literate in direct response marketing. And a good friend of mine, Bill, he was in what's called the car paper industry. And they basically, what we were doing with houses, he was doing with cars. In other words, people would finance a car, his company would buy out what was left on that, the payout. Like, say, if it was 60 months, he would give a price so that his yield would be higher than whatever the percentage the people were paying on the car financing. I don't know if that's making any sense to your
I'm
audience.
following you. I'm following you.
The point is, he said to me one day, because we're close friends, we trade courses. Hey, have you seen this guy? No, no, I haven't. Who is he? And we just trade stuff. And he said to me one day, he said, Mark, listen, man, I know you think this paper stuff is the bomb. He said, but I'm telling you, some of these strategies you talk about, direct response and sort of non-traditional marketing strategies and promotional, he said that would be perfect for small businesses in America. No, this had never dawned on me. I'm supposed to be the smart guy. Never dawned on me. But I
Mm,
started to notice, man, when I would go to even today, right now, when I go to a business or a service, I'm looking for certain things to see if they do. And 99% of the time they don't. And I
don't.
said, you know what? He's right. So I sort of slowly transitioned and started positioning myself as a small business marketing consultant. And then since my
Mm.
first name was Mark, Mr. Marketing just sort of, worked. Although there's several people, let me just say for the record, several people out there that refer to themselves as Mr. Marketing. So, but I said, you know what? This seems to flow. I like it. I'm going to go with it. And so, and then social media, no, excuse me, the internet came along and then social media, and kaboom, here we are. So that's like the super condensed version.
Yeah, that's awesome. And not to, throw your age out there, but around what time, like what years was that when you were getting started? Because I know times in the marketing world, like 4 years ago, and I watched that podcast with you and Stephen Haggerty. 4 years is like a decade in the marketing
That's a
world.
long time,
So,
my friend. We're
yeah.
talking, in fact, man, I was looking for, I have a self-published book that I wanted to share some stuff with. And of course, between last night and today, I can't find it. But the point is, anyway, I want to say probably the early 90s.
Wow. Okay.
And then by 95, I had written this book, self-published now. You're not going to find it on Amazon yet, unless Jeff Bezos people reach out to me. But the point is, That's when I was really starting to learn about this direct response stuff. And after I met, I don't know, do you know the name Jay Abraham?
Jay Abraham. It doesn't ring a bell. I have to
Okay,
look
you
him
need
up.
to go to YouTube and watch some of this guy's got some mind. He and another guy, excuse me, Seth Godin, another just super brilliant guy.
Absolutely.
And Seth is one of my favorite guys. In fact, I'd like to say, if Seth Godin ever watched one of my podcasts, he'd say, this guy thinks he's imitating me, but he's not. You know what I mean? He says, this guy isn't getting my concepts. No, he's a brilliant guy. So when I started getting onto those guys, man, it just changed. I mean, Dan Kennedy and all these people. Dan Kennedy, in my opinion, is more of a copywriter, direct response guy, but he's a brilliant marketer too. Because he's been around, he knows a lot of people. And I just started a whole new world opened up to me. In other words, what I was seeing was 8 plus 2. And then Seth Godin said, 12 minus 2. J. Divided by 2. You know what I mean? And it just opened me up to say, oh my goodness, look how many different ways you can get to the same place. So I'm hoping before this is over, your audience is going to feel the same way with the stuff we're going to share with them today.
That'll be awesome because, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So if there's a different way of doing something and you don't know that you can get to point A by going, around a little bit, then yeah, I can understand how the doors will open up like that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I watched the podcast of you and Stephen Haggerty. Very good. It really fired me up, just your energy and everything. So
Awesome.
I'm really excited for this. And he
Me too.
started off the podcast with the question he asked, Mark, what do you do and who do you help?
Ooh, excellent question. I'd like to say, Stephen, what I do, excuse me, no, I'm a small business marketing consultant slash strategist. And what I mean by that is I tend to look at what you already have, what's working, what's not, and then see if we can take any of what you already have that you're not utilizing to a much higher
Mm,
level, if we can monetize that. And you say that people say monetize. What do you mean? They think in a linear sense. And let me tell you what I mean. Like they'll say, well, I've ran ads, I've done this, and I've done that. And what I tend to do is think either before or behind that. Like what happened after you ran the ad?
mm,
And they're like, you're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you realize. In fact, let me say it like this, Noah. Unfortunately, and I hate saying this, ladies and gentlemen, no one knows it's the truth, and I know it's the truth, and we'd both be derelict in our duty if I didn't share this with you. In the time it's going to take you to invest in listening to this or any other podcast, somewhere in your and my local market, entrepreneurs have spent their hard-earned money to run a radio or a TV ad, and guess what? You and I didn't see it.
right.
That money still came out of their budget, didn't it? They're not
Correct.
getting any return on that. Okay. I try to help them see that, hey, let's take those resources and put them over here and do what we
Mm,
call test. You don't just jump into the pool. You know what I mean? You got to figure out, is there enough water in there to support us? And even if there's not enough water in there to support us, is there enough water in there to support somebody else, meaning a potential joint venture partner? We'll get into that. But the point is, everything we have, somebody either needs, can benefit from it, or can utilize it in another way. That's what I try to
absolutely.
stress to people. You know what I'm saying? So where you may not may say, oh, that's a dead asset. Yeah, maybe to you, but not to somebody behind you. Maybe somebody in front of you. It's all a mindset thing. And when you begin to realize that, ladies and gentlemen, and you think, I hate using that term, think outside the box, no, but it's so true.
Yep.
When you start to see things in a new light, tons of opportunity, possibility is going to open up, and you're going to say, wow. And this stuff that you hear us talking about, it'll seem elementary because you'll say, oh man, he said 8 plus 2, but I see 15 minus 5
Mm,
multiplied by 2. You know what I mean? You
mm.
say, wow. He never
Right.
said that, but it got me to thinking this way. So that's what I try to do because I'm telling you, man, I am telling you, no matter what your situation is, and I like to describe it like this, Noah. Let's say you're the guru on the top of the mountain, and I'm one of your customer students, and you're waving me on, Mark, come on. And I get like 25% up the hill. I'm exhausted. I'm saying, my God, Noah, I got 75% more to go.
Mm.
And Noah says, Mark, look behind you. And I look behind. He says, you see all those millions of people? They want to know how you got from 0 to 25. That's your market. See
Wow.
what we tend to do, right? We say, well, how do I network with the gurus like Noah? You're not there yet. Noah's got enough options that he doesn't need to reach way down to somebody at 25%. He wants people at 80, 100%, and 110% higher than him. That's who he's
Correct.
networking with, or whoever this influencer is. Well, there are millions of people that, let's be honest, they're never going to reach. It's just like, did you play any sports when you were growing up, Noah? You look pretty athletic.
I did. Yeah. My main sport, believe it or not, was ice hockey.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's
My
be honest.
just real quick, I'll touch on it real quick.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
parents were in the military. They had a military background, so we moved around a lot. And I think at a young age, when I got into sports, hockey was like
Ooh.
the thing that when we moved around, I knew I could, I had that with me. So
Okay.
I carried that through my athletic career,
I
and
get it.
here
I
we
get
are
it.
today.
Well, no, I was going to say, let's be honest. No matter what the sport is, everybody isn't going to make Division One. Everybody isn't going to make the next level pro. But look how many people play, right? And it goes up like
Hmm.
that, right? Till you get down to that 1% or whatever it is. So everybody in business is not going to create a business that does $100 million or more, right? I mean, it's our fantasy. We love to do it. But the point is, there are more people down at the bottom of that pyramid that could use help. And the people that are 10% up the mountain, 20% up the mountain, 30%, they need to realize what's behind them. There's so many people say, hey, how did you do that? Can you show me a little bit?
Mm.
It's a huge, and once you start networking, man, you realize I'm never, ever, ever going to be able to take advantage of all this. It's like, think about wherever you live. If there was only one bank and one grocery store, they'd be overwhelmed. You know what I mean? There's no way they could
Yeah,
service all these people. So and see what the internet has done is taken that local thing and made it worldwide now. You know, if you
that's what I
had,
was about to touch on.
right? I mean, it's the
It's
truth.
the internet.
If you had three people, but in every state, in every country around the world, you'd be doing well. You'd be doing very well. So, it takes it from, think about how impractical, pardon me, it used to be to send something, say, from here to Canada. Well, now we can click a button, right? I mean, you and I are in
Instant.
different states. We click a
Yeah.
button and here we are. And technology will allow it with somebody in Asia, somebody in France, wherever they are in the world. I think Stephen was in the UK or something like that, right? I forgot Stephen Haggerty.
Correct.
And yet there we
Hmm.
are. Technology. So the whole thing, I like to call it idea currency, Noah, is having us
Mm.
think a certain way. And it's limitless, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to sound, I was going to use a big time guru's name, but I will do it. But it's not rah rah motivational stuff. It's reality. Social media and this stuff has just made it possible now for the little guy and gal with a little bit of ambition. You can automate, we have technology, and you can get out here in a big way. I mean, look at me, ladies and gentlemen. 99.9% of you would never have heard of me if I were not on this gentleman's show. That's a reality. I like to say it like this. Noah, let's say you and I, Noah, where's your favorite place to go get a mocha, a latte, or anything like that if you even drink that kind of stuff? Where would you go?
I think I'm a little biased because my wife is a Starbucks fan. So
Of
whenever,
course. All right, let's
yep,
say you and I are sitting in Starbucks chopping it up. And you say, Mark, man, I love some of your strategies and concepts. Man, I would love it if you came on my podcast and shared this with my audience. And I said, oh, man, no, I'd love to. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand? He and I have just gone from one to one to many. It's called
mm,
leverage, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you and I want. I call it marketing leverage, idea currency, whatever term floats your boat. The point is, you and I want to take a small amount of effort and get a humongous result.
mm.
That's called leverage. And that's what he and I are here to talk about.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned the social media. Um, People online now, they see everybody making, monetizing, making all this money. And like you said, they think I have to start a business. I have to go from zero to $100 million in sales. Do you think social media played a role in that?
Oh, absolutely. But now I'm glad you brought that up because he's touching on something very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let him tell his side, but I'm going to share this with you. And I, ladies and gentlemen,
Please.
here's something, two things. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be victimized by social media. What the heck are you saying, Mark? Here's my point. A lot of, and I don't mean to sound biased here, Noah, but a lot of the millennials I've noticed that I've met on LinkedIn primarily, because that's really where I'm at on LinkedIn. They don't have a website. They don't have a blog. They don't have an e-commerce site. They're
Mm.
rocking strictly social media. Ladies and gentlemen, here's why this is very dangerous. Unless your last name is Zuckerberg or you Reed Hoffman, who used to own or help start LinkedIn, you and I do not
Go.
own those platforms. I like to say it like this, Noah. We're glorified tenants and they're the landlords. Think of it
Mm.
this way. Now, I know you're happily married, but
That's
for the
good.
people out there who are divorced, let's say you're temporarily sleeping on your ex in law's couch. And one day they
That would
come
be
home and they
terrible.
say, Noah, I love you, but you got to go. Where is that going to leave you? Homeless. You're a Noah, I will make this bet, and I have no empirical evidence other than just being around, and you've been around long enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I will make you a bet. Right now, as we speak, somewhere in the world, somebody's social media account or counts just got shut down for the first time, the second time, or the last time. Period. So you said, well, what's the alternative, Mark? You need your thing. See, I have my own self-hosted WordPress blog. I've had it since I think 2012, something like that. No, long time. But
It's
my point
impressive.
is, let's suppose at the end of this thing, Noah and his wife are going through it, and they say, yeah, this guy's pretty good, but Noah, he's not really your crowd. Noah says, you're right. And he says, I'm not going to release this thing. Now, as much as that breaks my heart, I still got my blog. You see what I'm saying? So I can put my
Hmm.
own content out there. Matter of fact, I took a screenshot of us, ladies and gentlemen. I can still make some content around this and say, hey, I had appeared on this guy's blog and, he decided not to publish it. Well, I can still create content. When you and I are on social media, we're glorified guests.
Mm.
I've seen several influencers get their accounts shut down on LinkedIn. I don't know why, several times. Several times. And I said to one of my coaches, young guy, I said, do you have your own blog? And he said, no, kind of almost with this sort of like disdain, like blog. That's an old school, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, do you realize what will happen? All this effort you're putting in on LinkedIn and I don't know wherever else he's if they shut you down, that content is gone.
Yep.
All that hard work. It's like, think about it like this, and I hope this makes sense. Imagine you're now I know a lot of the people your age don't shop at malls anymore. But let's say, your wife's birthday is coming up or your anniversary and you want to get her something nice. So you're in the mall. You're shopping. It's
Hmm.
Christmas time. The malls, you know how they are. They're insane. There's people everywhere.
Crazy.
And you stop into this store and you're standing in line, and it's a long line. And you tap, let's say I'm in front of you, you tap my shoulder, you say, excuse me, sir. Man, I got to run to the bathroom. Could you keep my bags right here and let anybody know I'm behind you? And when I come back, I can get my place. I said, yeah, sure, man, go ahead. So he goes to the bathroom, and when he comes back, from where he was standing, there's even more people. Now, if he
Mm.
didn't ask me to keep his place in line, guess what happens? He's got to start all over at the end. That's what's going to happen to you if your social media accounts get shut down. And please don't be of the arrogant mindset of, that's not going to happen to me. Because it probably will. So
Oh,
that's
well.
what I'm going to say. Yes, social media is powerful. You should be doing it. No, you're on social media, correct?
Correct.
I'm on social media. You should all be on social media. But don't make it your primary focus. You need your own place. Two things. You need your own opt-in Email list. What? This guy's talking about email? You better believe it. It's still giving you the best ROI, return on investment, than all that other stuff combined, ladies and gentlemen. For one thing, you're in control. Noah doesn't need my permission to send messages to his subscriber base. You know, even if we don't get political on social media, they might bring in new management and they just don't like what you and I are doing. No, I had to temporarily suspend this gal's account. All that hard work for nothing. So just be mindful, build your own opt-in email list, and don't be victimized by social media. I'm off my soapbox, no.
No, dude, I love that. And to touch on the email marketing thing, that's kind of how I got my start into the online marketing, online business world was through email marketing. I took a course from a guy, his name is Ty Lopez. He's a
Oh,
entrepreneur,
yes, Ty's huge.
brilliant, brilliant guy.
Brilliant guy.
I took his social media marketing course back in maybe 2017. And one of the biggest things that he was leaning into was having your own opt-in, creating your own database of lists of people that you can contact at any point in time.
At any point in time.
But the struggle I had, Mark, was trying to relay that message to these small business owners or even like people with social media that have a huge following to start building their lists, but they couldn't see the power behind having their own email list because it wasn't sexy and it didn't,
Right.
it doesn't have that bing to it.
Exactly. And you're
How would you think in today's world, obviously email marketing is still a huge part
it's
of.
still huge, my friend. In fact, you know what? I'm so glad you segmented me into that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. Let me show you how you take a cold audience and make them semi to ultra hot. And I'm
Please,
going to use an
please.
offline example. Let's say Noah runs a retail appliance store. You know, he's got all the goodies. Noah's appliances. You know, he's got all the gadgets. Everybody goes there because he's the guy. He's got the cool stuff. People are coming into his business every day. They're spending money and they're walking out. Actually, if it's okay, no, I'm going to give them a 2-for-1. Is that okay?
Hey, please do, brother.
Mega strategies okay. Here's the first thing. Noah says, okay, Noah and I are talking. He finds out we meet at the chamber conference, and we're talking. Mark, you know, I read a couple of your articles. I've seen some of your blog, podcast guest appearances. I've watched them. It's very interesting. Hey, man, how would I use some of this stuff you talk about in my business? You know, and I said, boy, Noah, I'm glad you asked, man. Excuse me, here's the first thing. From now on, I want you to put a big giant 4-way sign in your store, in the middle of the store. And it's so big, I used to like to say music legend Stevie Wonder couldn't miss it, right? You know what I mean? So, but here's what it says. Free drawing. Interesting. Sign up, enter our free drawing for your chance to win a $7,500 or X, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get hung up on the numbers, get the concept. A $7,500 deluxe home entertainment center, whatever Noah decides that entails, right? But it's a deluxe. Now, here's the point. I walk into his store, not as, the marketing consultant guy, just as a consumer. This guy's giving a free drawing, and he's got an image up there with this home deluxe entertainment system it is. He says 2 guaranteed winners every quarter. In other words, every 90 days. One local male, one local female, must be at least 18 to enter. Okay. I guarantee you, some of his foot traffic is going to enter that free drawing. Well, to do that, they got to join his email list. That's the first thing. Now, every quarter he announces, he and his wife take some names out, put them in a bag. In fact, what Noah does is he goes live on Facebook. He puts all the names in his hat. He has his wife put a thing, a blindfold around him. She shakes it up. He reaches in. He pulls out a name. If it's a male, he says that. If it's a female, okay, congratulations to our new winners. Now, here's the point. Here's where most small business owners blow it, Noah. What do you do with the rest of those names? Throw them out with the bathwater? Heck no. You've got a database now of people who said, I'm interested in your products or your services. So here's what Noah does. He sends a follow up to the subscriber base. And he says, "Dear valued subscriber." No, he said this is what the subject line says. No, congratulations! Exclamation point. What? Click it over.
Wow.
Hi, Mark, Joe, whatever. Thank you for entering our free quarterly drawing on such and such a day. Unfortunately, you were not this quarter's first grand prize winner, but you have won an exciting, extremely time sensitive second
Wow.
grand prize. Oh, what would that be? You're gonna get this, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the concept that I want you to get. You won an extremely time sensitive second prize. You get, follow this now, 10% off something low, up to $150. That's not very sexy, Mark. It's not supposed to be. However, simply for dragging a friend who's at least 18, you get 35% off, up to $2,000. Now, Noah, if I'm serious about saving some money on your awesome goodies, am I more apt to text a few friends, make a few phone calls? Man, come with me. We're going over to Noah's
Yeah.
Lines. He got a special sale on. He said, just for dragging a friend, I get this. And of course, you have a special OTO. What's that, Mark? One time only offer for that guest that says, if you do this before you leave the store, you get something really cool too. Now, you see how he's getting two birds with one stone?
That's powerful.
Called leverage. Now, notice he does this every quarter, so that means 4 times a year, 2, 4, 6, 8 people will get a chance to get some really awesome stuff that when they rock the Super Bowl, NASCAR, the Taylor Swift concert, Jay-Z, Beyonce, whatever your music genre is, and they're sitting there with that 75-inch flat screen TV and this and the tablet and all that, and they say, man, where did you get this? Oh, I got this at Noah. They had a free drawing and I won. Noah's Appliance? Yeah. Oh, man, I've been there 1,000 times. Never, ever got involved. Yeah, they got a sign in there. You watch when you go in there. You see it's a big sign that says, enter our free drawing. Now, let me show you something else. Noah, is it okay if we take them to the next level?
Please. Oh yeah. Please.
Okay.
Let's turn it up for him.
Now, anybody can do a free drawing. And first of all, let me just say this, because I can hear some people say, $7,500. Remember, it costs Noah half. Let's use $7,000 because the math is easier. It's only going to cost him $3,500. Half of the retail.
Mm-hmm.
The actual hard cost is half. But the perceived value
The
is
perceived
whatever you say,
value.
right? Now, follow this. Here's the next question. I'm saying Noah's competitors could sit there and send somebody in the store and say, oh, that's what he's doing. He offers a free drawing. Okay, we can do the same thing. We'd offer $10,000. Okay, they got that part. Now, let me show you this. Let's say I own let's say we're in a mini strip mall. Noah's at one end, I'm at the other. He and I are buds. So I own a bakery, mom and pop, not a franchise bakery. Every Monday for his Monday meeting, Noah comes in and we chop it up about sports and women and politics and world stuff and commodities and everything, So one day Noah comes in, he's going to get his stuff. And I say to him, Noah, is it okay if I share with your audience the magic question?
Yes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call the magic question. You only all ask this of people you have an established relationship, which means your vendors and your suppliers. Follow this. I say to Noah, Noah, is it okay if I periodically refer you new business and customers?
Be great. I would appreciate that.
Noah said, yeah, Mark.
Yeah.
The shoe drop, right? And I say, okay, man, thanks. I'm glad to hear that. I say, now, by the same token, as long as it doesn't take away from anything you're currently doing or will have going on in the future, are you okay with periodically returning the favor?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard his words, but let me translate because you probably didn't really get the gist of what Noah's saying. Noah's really saying, Mark, not only you get access to my current network, but the one I'm going to have tomorrow, next month, and next year that's 5 to 10 times better and more established, you get access to that too. That's what the magic question allows you to do. Now, here's the point. Noah and I start talking. I say, Noah, let me ask you a question, man. No, I'm sorry. Let's flip it around. Let's say Noah asked me, is it okay to refer me new business? Noah says, Mark, let me ask you something. So, what's like one of the highest gross profit margin products you sell in here? And I give him some product, and he said, what's your gross profit margin? I said, like 67%. So 33% is cost. So 33 and 67 is 100%. I said, yeah. And he says, how would you like to triple that? I said, well, man, I can't raise my prices that high. I said, no, it has nothing to do with you raising your prices. He says, let me share something with you. Mark, you realize people come in here every day. They buy your great taste of stuff. I come in and get stuff for the Monday morning meeting. My wife comes down throughout the week because she likes your pastries and all that. And I say, yeah. He says, but do you realize when they leave your store, they go buy cars, appliances, pay for trips, luggage, jewelry? I'm like, yeah, where are we going with it? He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. And Noah pulls out this little card. He said, I'm going to have these made up. It's going to say, dear friend, because you're a valued customer of Mark's Bakery, please come to Noah's Appliance. And then Noah tells me to put a date. It's 10 days out, not 10 business days. I look on the calendar on my phone, whatever the 10th date is, if it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July, it doesn't matter. I put that date down as the ending date. It says, come to my store and enter my free drawing for your chance to win whatever he's giving away, some sexy giveaway. He says, come along, you save 10% up to $100. Simply for dragging a friend, you save 35% or X up to $2,000. Now, here's what Noah says to me. He says, Mark, you pass these out. He says, and every time, and it says referred by on the back, referred by Mark Newsome. And so he knows where the leads are coming from. He says, Mark, every time somebody buys the first 10 sales, I'm giving you $50. I said, wow, okay. He says, but from the 11th sale on, I'm going to cap it, but you get $125. I said, what? He says, that means if you pass out 100 of these after your 10th sale, from the 11th on, you pass out 100 and 10 people come in and buy, that's 10 times 125. Do the math, ladies and gentlemen. And he tells me, you don't have to just do this when you're at the store, Mark. You can have your employees pass them out. You can pass them out when you're out and about. Now, here's the point that he's trying to show me. You don't have to just make money on the front end with your bakery. You could do this on the side just enough to pay your $3,000 a month.
I see where you're going.
Right? And then, because, Noah's like 15 miles ahead of me on this, he says, Mark, let me ask you something. If I were to tell you every time you send me 25 customers in a month, I'll pay your lease, am I motivated now, ladies and gentlemen? You bet. And to take it a step further, Noah says, Mark, I want you to come into the store. If you bring a friend with you who's at least 18, I'm going to hook you up. I said, okay. So I go into the store. He says, let's go over here and look at some of these TVs. He said, I got some stuff on closeout, man. And before I put it out to the public, I want you to see it. And I look, I said, wow, Noah, that 75-inch TV is the bomb. He says, Mark, you know how much that retails for? I whip out my phone and I go to a couple of companies. There goes for X. He said, no, not for you. He says, I'll give it to you at cost. Because remember I told you drag a friend, I'd hook you up? I said, yeah. He says, okay, I'll give that to you at cost. He says, and I'll give it to you interest-free, where you put down X, and then you make so many payments. And he says, but Mark, the moment you send me 10 customers within the next 60 days, your payments stop. Am I motivated?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the owner is happy because he's probably going to make.
Exactly. And now when I'm rocking the Super Bowl this year on my 75-inch TV, Noah texts me 2 days before. First of all, Noah on the opposite side. I think Team A is going to win. He thinks so we got this thing going. So when we see each other day after Super Bowl, one of us got bragging rights. So Noah says, Mark, what do you like on your pizza? I'm like, what? He says, pizza's on me, man. He says, I'll send over like 5 large pizzas and some wings. You guys, he says, you guys get your own booze if you want your own booze. He says, wings on me. Now, when I'm sitting there, can I eat 5 pizzas by myself?
No, sir.
I got to call my crew, don't I?
Mm.
And when my crew gets there, and they're sitting there, and they're saying, yo, boy, where did you get? I said, man,
Right.
Newsome's Appliance hooked me up. And the pizza we're munching on, he bought it. And because my team is going to rock his team in the Super Bowl, I'm feeling
Wow.
this, right? Now, get this. I whip out some of Noah's cards, and I pass them out. Say, you know what? You bring a guest, man. You enter his drawing, and you get a chance to win that. But simply for dragging a friend, you save X plus. But now here's what I don't know. I'm saying as the guy who's enjoying all these benefits that Noah knows that he doesn't tell me because he doesn't need to tell me this. That email list that Noah's setting up, it's a segmented list strictly for my customer base. So in other words, he's got his own email list over here, but he's got one just for Mark's Bakery because he's got a special, some time-sensitive offers he's going to make strictly to my audience. This is the power of email and strategic marketing. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're appreciating that you tuned in with us today. Because this is the type of stuff that separates the wannabes from the could-bes to the people who are actually doing it. All this. Now, let's take this a step further, Noah. We're not finished.
Wow.
If he can do this with me, is there anything to stop him from doing this with 5, 6, 7, 8 other local vendors now who are not directly competing with him? Absolutely not. In fact, guess where 2 other places Noah's going to do this with? His barber and his wife's hairdresser. And if his wife goes to get her nails done, the nail salon. You follow what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Now, Noah's competitors want to know, this guy doesn't even advertise anymore. How is his business blowing up like this? Because he understands marketing promoting. And it's like, you follow what I'm saying? In fact, he's going to hook his vendors up. He's going to hook his suppliers up. If he's got a realtor who sold him a house or the agent, he's going to hook them up. They have Super Bowl parties, right? They do NASCAR. They do concerts. I mean, when I say concerts, meaning they have people over to watch the concert. Well, they're going to be watching it on his stuff. If nothing else, he can give them all tablets at cost as long as they join his opt-in email list and drag a friend with them. He give them a state-of-the-art tablet at cost. Now, everywhere they go, you think they're not going to take that tablet? And do you think at Christmas and Thanksgiving and the social parties in their local area, they're not going to brag and tell this story?
Oh yeah, especially if they got it at cost.
Exactly. And he goes a step further. He says, as soon as you send me 10 customers, I'll let you come into the store as long as you drag a friend. I'll let you pick out any one thing you want at cost up to $2,000. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, this beats local billboards, local primetime radio, local primetime TV, newspapers, because that stuff, it comes out of your, money comes out of the budget, whether those promotions work or not.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Now, because time is short, and Noah and I want to cover other stuff, if you can't see that all I said and he said is 7 plus 3 and he said 8 plus 2, I failed you. And we both failed it. Because this thing is, you can slice and dice this thing so many ways. In fact, the concept of every time you send me X amount of customers, I'll pay your lease. Now remember, let's say I say every month, if you send me 25 customers, I'll pay your lease. Let's say he only gets to 23 this month. Oh, he still made his $100. I mean, $125 a lead, didn't he? Absolutely. Or whatever you agreed to pay. Okay, you're off by 2. Big whoop. He's still got that amount of money. He doesn't have to pay for his lease. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, it's better than nothing.
It's better than, and the goal. Now, let's flip it. Let's make sure, since he's the retailer, let's flip it. And he shows me this. He says, Mark, I'm going to help blow up your business. In fact, because I don't understand marketing as well as Noah does, Noah gives me a freebie. He said, Mark, you want to know how to turn a one-time sale into a long-term, perpetual, repeat gold mine? And by now, I've seen what this guy can do. And I'm like, Yeah, man. So he says, let me show you something. He says, how much do you charge for that big gulp over there? You know, I got this plastic cup. I call it big gulp. And let's say it just retails for $11.99. But my actual hard cost, let's just say it's $3. You know,
Okay.
Noah says, let me show you something, man. He says, I'm going to go out and make an investment in those cups. I'm going to buy 5,000 cups for you. I'm like, whoa. He's going to get them at cost because he's got an arrangement with the supplier, because he's going to give the supplier some of his closeout stuff, and he's going to get the cups. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, now, he's got to check with his accountant about the barter and all that. But here's the point. He says, Mark, here's what you do. He says, the first time they come in and they buy a big gulp, you charge retail. He says, so you cover your costs, the coffee, the cup, and all that. You know, I'm giving you the cups. He says, but now here's what you tell them, and your employees tell them. From now on, when you bring that cup back, you only pay $3. Ooh. Now, if I got some of the best tasting, and that's the other thing, no tell, he said, Mark, no offense, go buy the best gourmet coffee in the area. He says, and only sell your extra large big gulps. That's going to turn some people off because they say, oh, what about small, medium? I got gourmet, great tasting gourmet coffee, this big gulp cup. The first time you pay retail, whatever retail is, but from now on, when you bring it back, you only pay $3. Now, where do you think a percentage of those people are more like they're going to come back, right? And when they come back, I sell them all the other stuff. I normally sell them at retail, the donuts and the pastries and the this and the cookies,
Yeah.
blah, 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 right?
Wow.
Now, understand this. Noah says, Mark, every time, and say, take it a step further. Because, see, I'm learning all this stuff. Noah's hit me with all this stuff, and I'm excited. Wow, I can see that. They come back in, and Noah said, that's what we call a back end, Mark. He says, you're going to sell them all your regular stuff on the back end. He said, well, Mark, let's take this a step further. Okay, what's the next step?
What more could we do?
What can we do? He said, Mark, tell me what your slowest days are, traditionally. I said, oh, man, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know why. He says, okay, here's what you're going to start doing. Every Tuesday and every Thursday, the first, or you can either do two ways. This can come in, whoever, females that come in between this time and that time. So he could say, when I open at 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, or he can just say the first 50 women. Whatever. I can, in fact, Noah tells me, why don't you test this? Test this way one day, test this way on your Thursday, and whichever one seems to blow the other one out, that's what you go with for both days. But here's the concept. He says, when the women come in to buy let's say they haven't come before, so they're not bringing the cup back. They ordering the big gulp for the first time. He says, you tell your cashiers when they cash everything up, wink and say, the big gulp's on us. What? What do you think they're going to do when they get back? Oh, and he tells them, oh, by the way, when you bring this back, you don't pay $11.99 for them. You only pay $3.99. What do you think those, or $3? What do you think those women are going to do when they get back to their crew?
Word of mouth. Let their girls know.
Don't think they're going to jump on social media showing that bug, Mark's Bakery,
Yeah.
Tuesdays, you women come in, blah, 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 blah. Now their girlfriends, what are you talking about? Girl, go down there on Tuesdays. You get the big gulp free. Now, remember, if they're not a customer, they don't already have the big gulp cup. They come in. Now, what Noah's showing me is, Mark, the more people that come in your store and the more my coupons you pass out, the more those 125s you're going to get on the back end. So you're not losing anything. You're gaining. You follow what I'm saying? And then
That's powerful.
Isn't that right? This is good stuff. Now, here's, because again, Noah's like, he's up here. So he's kind of spoon feeding me so I can get this stuff, right? And he says, now here's the next step, Mark. He says, here's what I'm going to do for you. Every time somebody orders a birthday cake, if they spend over X, like say $50, we'll have a ceiling. We'll work it out so I know, okay, this is a high-end birthday cake for me. No, he says, when they spend over X, you don't tell them until they pick it up. It's on the house. He says, but I'm going to pay you the hard cost of that. So you're not out of anything, but look at the word of mouth you'll be getting. I got a free cake. Now remember, the reason Noah is doing that, because there's going to be an envelope taped to the, outside of the plastic cake that says, get this, Noah, You tell me what you think the response. Let's say this happens to you, no? You get this cake, and there's an envelope taped to the top, and in big, bold, red letters, in parentheses, it says, you, Y-O-U, definitely deserve this, exclamation point. How long do you think it's going to take to rip that envelope open?
Yeah.
Not very long. And inside it's going to be, in this case, his discounted coupon to come to the store, the whole nine, join his list, blah, 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 blah. And what we call a bounce back offer. For me, what's a bounce back offer, Mark? It means whatever money you spend, we give you this little card. Or if once I get up to speed, no one tells me, Mark, get an app. But for now, we go old school and we just do this laminated card and they can come back and get savings. So it's an incentive to keep them coming back because I'm not trying to make a one-time sale. I'm trying to create, and he's trying to show me how to create a repeat army of goodwill ambassadors. And when he's giving these cakes away, well, I'm giving them away. He's paying for them at my cost. Word is spreading. Now, Noah takes this a step further. He said, Mark, I'm going to tell you something else we're going to do. He says, when somebody we're going to start out with special needs kids. We're going to put a sign up in the store and say, if you are a special needs, MVP special needs parent, please see the owner, Mark, or Daisy, or whoever the manager is that day. What is this all about? Oh, we want to sponsor a party for your kid. Now, in reality, Noah's paying for this, but it's coming through me, the bakery, so he's making me look good. But again, on the back end, he's going to have his coupons in there. But here's the point. The word is going to spread that this special need kid was throwing a party. That might be media friendly, don't you think, Noah? A little of the media might pick up on and say, what's this bakery that's doing these special needs giveaway for these kids and telling the parents that side room we have over there, you can throw the party there free of charge. And the first $150 worth of stuff is on us. And again, Noah pays for it at my hard cost, so I'm not out anything. They don't know that, but they bring their friends. Now, here's what I was going to say. Here's the big aha that Noah says. Mark, we're going to hire either the best or one of the best local magicians to come in and entertain this kid's guests. Now, we can get the magician and call us because we say, look, we're going to give you a free audience. And while you're there, you're going to do a free drawing right on the spot and says, whoever name I pull out, whether your kid is special needs or not, you're going to get the next party, performance on me for free. But meanwhile, they're building a database. Follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Man, this is good.
Right. One day.
Mark, this is good,
I
man.
hope so, bro. One day, I'm going to be invited to speak locally about some of this marketing stuff I'm doing because it's so non-traditional. And guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get up there and I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the fanfare that you think some of these strategies are non-traditional and very powerful, but I got to be totally honest with you. I'm going to share with you the gentleman who put me onto these ideas. And he's out there in the audience right there. Noah, raise your hand. Noah raises up his hand. Appliances. And just for you attending this event, he's got a special offer for you. So please go back there and see him. Well, now two things have happened. Noah's going to get more business, but some people are going to ease up to him at the break and say, hey, do you do consulting? Noah's going to look for some joint venture opportunities. You follow what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? This is called marketing and promoting. And I'm going to promise you something else. And Noah, both of us know this is true. It doesn't matter how many people see this for free, because probably 98% aren't going to do anything.
Correct.
If you start implementing just a small amount of this stuff, Taz, you're going to be way ahead of the pack. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to try to do everything at once. Pick out what we like to call the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that just resonates with you right now. Start with that. And I guarantee you this, the second and third time you listen to this, your mind is going to explode. You're going to say, he said 8 plus 2, but I see 30 minus 20. There you go. That's the point. That's what we're trying to get you to. Now, I had written some notes, Lord. I know I've been going on, but I got to share this. Let me share this.
Please, please.
I like to call this the McDonald's technique.
Mm.
Now, I think most people, I won't say everybody in America, but I'd be willing to bet 98% of the people in America, say 15 years of age and older, have gone to a McDonald's, right?
I'll place that bet.
Well, yeah, I'd place that. That's a safe bet, I'd say. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something super powerful. Noah does this. He's showing me how to do it. Let me show you one of the most powerful 6-word phrases in marketing.
Let me get my notebook out.
I know, you already know this,
Let
but
me.
what I'm saying, we got to share this with your audience.
Yep.
Noah and his wife drive through the McDonald's drive-thru, and he orders what he orders. His wife orders what they order, and the 17, 18, 19-year-old, 20, 21-year-old cashier comes back with the six of the most powerful words in marketing. They say, "Sir, would you like fries with that?" 10 to 40% of the people say yes. Now, notice what just happened. They're going to get Noah or me or whoever, and Burger King, they all do it now. Kentucky Fried Chicken, everybody that's smart does it. It's called upselling, add-on sales. What do you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it? Here's the point. When they ask that simple question, 10 to 40% of their daily worldwide foot traffic says yes. Guess what just happened? They didn't have to go back on primetime local television, primetime radio. They didn't have to put up another billboard. They didn't have to put up another newspaper ad, a throwaway guide ad to get you and I to spend retail. Notice they didn't discount the price of the fries. They said, would you like
Mm-hmm.
fries or apple pie with that? So you and I fork out a little more money for the same transaction, and that's called, on the internet world, Noah, you guys refer to it as AOV, average order
Average
value.
order value or
Us
the
all
lifetime
five,
value of the
a
customer.
lifetime value of a customer. See, again, he said 8 plus 2, I'm saying 7 plus 3. It's the same thing. The point is you get your customers to spend more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please don't disappoint us by saying, but I don't sell hamburgers. Because then that means, yeah, this ain't going right past you. But I want to say this. Now, I don't know if McDonald's, I think for the fast food restaurant industry, they started upselling in the early beginning. They may not have been the first, but they were one of them. But here's what I wanted to say about them that makes them like super brilliant, if it's not obvious. McDonald's didn't sit on their laurels. They got their most sophisticated Harvard and Princeton and Yale and all these brilliant people and said, how can we take this upsell concept, to the next level? And here's what they came up with, Noah. When they say, would you like fries with that? And you and I say yes, the 10 to 40% or X percent who say yes every day, they ask you 2 simple follow-up words. Noah, they say, supersize you?
Oh.
Look what just happened. They had 2 what we call bumps. I'm old school, no, bumps on top of each other, retail. And they're not offering a discount. So if it's not obvious why the executives from McDonald's and these other fast food chains live in some of the biggest houses, notice that's S, plural, houses in the world. They drive the best cars in the world. Their kids go and graduate from the most prestigious universities in the world. That's why. So if you're saying, I don't upsell, you're saying, I say it like this, no, you're like a waiter or a waitress working in a high-end scale restaurant and you're leaving the tips on the table saying, nah, I don't take tips. Are you insane? I mean, these people tip 15, 20% off a $300 meal, a $1,000 meal. How can you say no to that? And yet, as a small business owner, service provider, I'd be willing to bet 99% of you are doing exactly that because you don't really see the potential of this type of promoting. It's low cost, it's low hanging fruit, it's not difficult. And if you can't see it, there's 2 gentlemen on the screen right now who can help you.
Absolutely. And for what Mark's saying, to kind of dumb it down, is if you have a business, service, or a product, you just have to find out what is your upsell. What is your would you like a large for that?
In other words, think of it like this. If I say, and just, no, don't think about this, just react. If I say peanut butter, what do you think of?
Jelly.
Jelly. So in other words, like he's saying, what's the next thing that they're, you notice when you buy something from Amazon, they say, hey, if you like this, you may like that. They're testing. They're finding out because they know something is going to resonate with us and say, hey, yeah, I'll get it. And if they're offering you a discount to do it, now I'm glad this kind of morphed into something else. Here's something else that Noah's doing. He finds out that some of these JV partners that he has do mail order. In other words, they send stuff through the mail.
Mm.
He does. He puts an extremely time-sensitive offer in their outgoing mail to their customers, not the prospects, customers. And it says, hey, because you're a valued customer of X, you can take advantage of this extremely time-sensitive offer. And instead of paying retail, you pay less than retail, provided you join my list and you drag a friend when you come to pick it up. He starts doing that. And then Noah, because see, Noah kind of sees, he's like that point guard in the NBA. He sees the court, whereas the other players just see their little section. So Noah says, listen, here's the other thing. If you have inactive customers, you send out this offer, my offer, meaning him, to your customer, say, hey, we want you back. We miss you. And to prove it, we got this extremely time-sensitive discount from one of our local partners. He doesn't have to say joint venture partner. One of our local partners. Noah's Appliance. He's got a special offer. And here's the other reason why Noah has his own opt-in email list. When his competitors get ready to do a blowout sale, they have to go on TV and radio and newspaper.
Paid.
It costs money. And I don't know, 40 to 70 to 80% of their front end cost, their front end is cost. So let's say it's $100. $80 is advertising. So he's going to get the $20. Noah flips it around. He sends an email to his list, says, hey, we're about to have a blowout sale to the general public starting this coming Monday. If you drag a friend with you to our store between Thursday and Saturday, you can save X. I guarantee you some of them people are going to drag a friend to come to his store. He saved all of that upfront cost, and he's going to give some of it back to you in ethical bribes to bring somebody. He's got all these people combing around his stores, and he can do some super cool stuff. Like what, Mark? Like, for instance, all the women are in there. They say, attention. No, they have somebody come. Your attention, please. Will all the ladies please come over to the service desk right now? All the ladies. So I ain't going to say all, but most of them go over there. If they've been in Noah's store for a while and been on his email list for a while, they know something's good. So they rush over there. And he gives them a coupon that says, call this local florist, and we're going to have a dozen roses sent to your job. Now, I want you to think about, let's say 100 women take advantage of this. Now, before you think, oh, my God, remember, he used to waste $25,000 to $45,000 a month on that local billboard that barely brought him any business. No, but ladies, I hate to tell you this, and Noah's a happily married man, but he knows what I'm about to say is the truth. I'm a single guy, so I can say this, and now I don't backlash like Lord. Unless there is a billboard with a nice rocking car and a hot female, we don't know this. You know what I'm saying? We go by it. On the other hand, that car, and they go look at woman. Hey man, have you seen that billboard? Yeah, I saw it, man, blah, blah. So the point is, those women rush over there. He's got to deal with the florist where he can get these bouquet of roses and maybe a box of chocolates at cost. They pick up new customers, but it blows his word of mouth out of the stratosphere. And all of those names of the females, again, he creates this whole special email list just for them, segment list. Once a quarter, he sends, and this is one of my favorite. Once a quarter, one local female, guess what she's going to win? A dozen roses, a box of chocolates, and the 7-foot lady killer. What the heck is that? It's not Brad Pitt. It's not Denzel. It's a 7-foot teddy bear. What? Imagine when the courier shows up and says, "Is Jan Williams in or Mrs. Jan Williams in?" They say, "Yeah." And he's over there with the Jan Williams. Hey, this is courtesy of Noah's Appliance. What? Now, when she gets back to her desk,
Oh my God.
what do you think the other women are going to want to know?
Where'd you get this teddy
Where
bear?
did you get this? And what's up with the flowers and the chocolate? Oh, that's what he does once a quarter. If you go to the service desk, if you're in the store and he says, "Ladies, go to the service desk," girl, get over there to that service desk, because that's what I did. And you'll enter into this drawing thing, and once a quarter he pulls it out, and somebody's going to win this thing. Now, here, and of course, ladies, all the follow-up females, you're going to win something really cool too. Don't worry about it. But here's my point that I'm saying. He's known for this. Where do you think these women are going to demand their husband and boyfriend shop?
Noah's Appliances.
No appliance. Hello. Ladies and gentlemen,
Wow.
this is what we're talking about. This is marketing and promoting. And in fact,
Wow.
where Noah's wife gets her. Now, no, I'm going to flip this for 1 second because I really want people to see this. Let's say Noah's a jeweler, right? Where his wife gets her hair or nails done, he tells his wife, says, "Babe, when you go in there, take this picture." And let's say the lady who runs the hair salon is named Linda. He says, "Show Linda these 2 diamond-studded necklaces. One is $2,500, one is $5,000. Now, they didn't cost that. Think of half for both of those. The $2,500 is $1,250, $1,250, and the $5,000 is $2,500, $2,500. He says, "Ask her if she could get either one of these at cost, which one would she like?" I think we both know what she's going to say. But the point is, she says, $5,000 net. He says, "Okay." He says, "Tell her I want to come by the shop when it closes and ask the stylist to hang around because I got something I want to share with him." So he comes down and he's got these 2 diamond-studded earrings. They're $650 a piece. They only cost him $325. Let's say $600 and half is $300. And he says, Noah says, "Linda, because you've been doing my wife's hair for a long time, just making her look extra beautiful. We both appreciate it. These are for you." Excuse me? So now she's rocking some $600 earrings. The next day when she comes to the shop and her 10 customers a day sit in the chair, I'll bet at least 80% of them or more know at some point the conversation is going to turn to, "Girl, where did you get that bling?"
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Noah's Appliance. I mean, excuse me, Noah's Jewelry. And Noah's, you know that little shop 2 stores down? Girl. And that's when she's going to pass out his extremely time-sensitive discount coupons. Now, before he leaves the store, he says to the stylist, "If any of you want in on this, you can get in, but you need to do 2 things." Okay, what do we need to do? No, he says, "Join my opt-in email list, so I don't have to run ads to reach you." He says, "And simply for dragging a friend, I won't hook you up as good as Linda, but I'll give you some $400 earrings that only cost me $200. I'll give them to you at cost $200 if you drag a friend and join my opt-in email list." So they drag a friend, joins opt-in. Now they got $400 diamond-studded earrings. You think some of their customers, their besties, their neighbors, their friends, their sisters, their siblings, their in-laws are not going to want to know how to get hooked up? So he tells them to pass out the cards. Again, it says referred by on the back. But here's the point. This is how he takes it to the next level. He says, "Ladies, every week, the stylist, whichever one of you sends me the most paying customers for the week, I'll pay your booth rental for the week." Ooh.
Ooh.
Is that incentive? He'd much rather do this than run an ad that nobody's going to see, or run a radio ad nobody heard, right?
Right.
It's more powerful. And this is almost like pay-per-click, ladies and gentlemen. This pay for performance. They don't get paid unless they perform. He's not out of anything. And there's still an advertisement because they got some $400 earrings that they only paid cost for. And he says, the moment you send me 7 customers, X, I'll give you a $1,500 diamond studded necklace. Give it to him. Why? First of all,
Gonna
he
bring
picked
more
up 5
customers.
customers. Everybody knows at least 25 people. So do the math. 25 times 5 is whatever that is, right? Plus, they're a walking, talking billboard. Everywhere they go, you think somebody isn't going to want to know, girl, where'd you get that bling? Especially once they got the necklace and earrings.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you follow what I'm saying here, ladies and gentlemen? We're
Wow.
trying to show you how you could take a small amount of effort and blow it up. And your major competitors will be sitting there scratching their heads saying, I don't see this guy on local television.
TV,
Like,
Facebook.
yeah, you know what I mean? And they're going to do the social media thing for you because they're going to be all over social media showing off their bling. When they go to a wedding reception, a baby shower, a barbecue, a social event with a sibling or an in-law, they're going to be rocking his bling. I hope, I don't know, no, I hope, let me look at my list and make sure we covered it. I hope you can see how simple it is. Not easy now, simple. Take your business or service to the next level.
Absolutely. And the strategies and practices that you're talking about, I'm going to use those myself. I recently, kind of similar to what you were saying, is I was helping with a local, it's like a smoke and vape shop, where they buy their tobacco and
All right.
e-cigarette products. And we recently just launched a loyalty, like a punch card system.
Yes.
Every 10 purchases, you get a free offer. And
Okay.
he wasn't doing anything prior, no
Nothing.
marketing, no email,
Nothing.
zero. And now he's getting people coming back, showing him this card. And
Doggone right.
basically
Now
what you were saying is those
let's
practices are
take it a
working.
step further. Let's take it a step further because you're right. You're there, but let's put this thing on steroids.
Please, please.
Most people that utilize these kind of strategies do that sort of thing. I call it delayed gratification. But why make your best customers wait? Halfway through that thing, give them some kind of bonus. Because now you're putting a carrot in front of them, but you're letting them know you're not that far from the promised land. You know what I'm saying? They're not
Wow.
expecting anything after that 5th purchase. So you give them something nice, a discount on a high-end cigar. And then when they get to the 10th, you give them the free one. This gets the chatter going. In fact, man, you could have and I'm just throwing this out, you take it as a great stuff. You could have cigar tasting night or contest. You could have what's your favorite cigar, and if you get enough of any one brand, that's the one on your slowest day. You give away the discount as long as you bring a friend. That kind of thing. You could really take this thing, and if you want, man, I'll help you for free just to get the testimonial. So the point is, there is a lot of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And when you start collaborating, because see, as hard as I can go with my own efforts, do you not see by coming on a show like this and as many others as I can, the leverage that'll be generated? Because like I said, 99.9 of you never heard of Mark Newsome, Mr. Mark. And if I weren't on this gentleman's show, you probably would never heard of me. So I'm getting massive free exposure to do what I love to do, share this kind of stuff, and hopefully get some clients and customers. But the point is, you can expand what you're doing right now. You don't need more money. I say you just need to do better power networking. And in fact, I'll tell you something else that you should do. Wherever this guy is, he local? No, from where you are?
Local.
How many employees does he have?
2.
Okay.
It's family owned, so
All
it's
right,
just
no,
it's
come on.
him and his brother. They're only ones working.
Here's something you should put on his mind. Listen, man, within a 30 radius of your store, there's got to be some other cigar smokers. Whenever you and your employees or family shop in any of these stores that are mom and pop, in other words, the owners own the store, they're not corporate, ask if there's a cigar smoker in the house and tell them you'd like to give them a free sample cigar on the house.
Mm,
as opposed to advertising. Now you're getting your product in the hand of these people who can tell people who can tell people.
right.
Just tell them to hashtag the guy's store. You follow what I'm saying? Man,
Dude,
right?
that's awesome.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
awesome. And
It's,
you're really dropping some
I hope
fire
so.
gems right now.
I hope so.
And I know a lot of this sounds like marketing. I kind of want to throw you off your script a little bit. I know it's a lot of marketing, but when I hear this stuff, I also, and I need to do better at this myself. It's relationship building,
Yes, that's what it is. That's
networking.
what
You're
it is.
building a relation. Yes, you're marketing. That's the term it is. But really, you're building a relationship with the
Yes, sir.
community and your customers.
Yes, sir. And that goes far more. And it's far more reaching. People tell these stories when they're with their close friends and their family. And advertising just cannot do that, ladies and gentlemen. Never has, never will.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say an ad can't kind of touch us emotionally, but like what he's saying, that tree goes much deeper. These people will go out of their way to be goodwill ambassadors for you. They'll talk it up because when you and I have that occasional misstep, they'll come to our rescue and say, no, I know him. No, that was a mistake. If that happened and he apologized for it or Mark did that,
Hmm.
he's sincere. This guy's a real deal. This company's a real deal. That's what you want. Is it okay? No, we're still talking marketing, but I want to take this off on another level. This is one of my favorite stories to share because I really think when people see and hear this, it'll open them up like nobody's business. Is it okay if I share this quick story?
Please. Yeah. I am locked in right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, follow this. Now, I'm going to use a celebrity, but this has nothing to do with celebrity. It's the concept, and because we're using a mega influencer, I want you to see how potentially huge this could be. There's a certain female pop star who has a following known as the Swifties.
Oh,
I didn't have to go any further, right? So let's say she embarks on a world tour. She's going to be on the road 24 months, traveling the world. She's going to be playing venues anywhere from 20,000 to 80,000. Rabid fans taking, even though they're not supposed to, taking video footage and putting it up on Facebook and all that. At the intermission of every show, she's got an international deal with a SUV dealership, and she's got one in. This is fictitious, ladies. I'm making this up now. And she's got in America the same kind of arrangement. Her MC or whoever does the halftime thing comes out and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, are you having a good time?" And the crowd, focus your attention on the jumbotron screen. You see that website? 2 winners guaranteed 24 hours after the show is over. You're going to be notified via email. So you got to go to that website and register. Translated, she's building her own opt-in email list. She said, go to this website and enter for a chance to win this $120,000 super pimped out Escalade. Ooh, and a $10,000 shopping spree. What?
yeah.
She goes around the world for 24 months, and when she comes back, after, let's say, 7% of the people have opted out of her list for whatever reason, or 10%, whatever, she still got 7 million people on this list. Right? Now, what does she do? 2 things. She contacts Netflix, and she says, how would you guys like to get some new business and not have to advertise for it? And I say, by all means, let's hear it. Said,
Yeah.
on my world tour for 24 months. I've cleaned my list. She isn't doing this now, ladies. She's got a team, Noah and me and some of the other people doing this for her. She says, I got a clean list of 7 million opt-in subscribers, and I got an open rate of 47%. Open rate, if you don't know what that means, ladies and gentlemen, when somebody sends you an email and you click the link, you open the email. Now, it doesn't mean you clicked on any links, but you opened it. She says, I got an average opt-in rate of 47%, between 40 and 60%. So that means between 4 and 6 people out of every 10 on my list are going to open my email. And that's the first email. She could change the subject line, A/B split test, and send another email. Body copy is the same, It might be that the subject line, which is like a headline offline, might spark something in that remaining group that didn't open. A percentage of them will open it, right? But that's, if we had more time, we get into it. But I hope, does that make sense, Noah, what I just said?
Oh yeah, I'm following you.
Okay,
I'm
all
following
right.
you.
Now go
And
to this.
I
Okay.
think I know where you're going with it, but I'm gonna let
Oh,
you
all
bring
right,
us
yeah,
there.
yeah. No, because see, if I'm not going where you think, you'll have something to share on top of it. So it's beautiful.
Right, right.
So Netflix says, yeah, we got lunch. She says, okay, here's what I want to do. For new customers only, in other words, people who don't have Netflix. You can do this with a Hulu too, ladies and gentlemen. So just think Netflix and Hulu. She says, here's what I want. I want you to roll back your prices to 5 years ago. I'm like, what? I said, remember, you're not paying for these customers. And I'm going to send an email and say, hey, for an extremely limited time, I've made this arrangement for you, my Swifties, with Netflix, new customers only. You can join Netflix for the next 36 months or X number of months, 12 months, 24, it doesn't matter. 36 months. Because she says, look, I have a brand and a reputation. I want to do something really special for my audience.
Yeah.
Okay. For the next 36 months, they get the price of 5 years ago. Now remember, Netflix, you're not paying for these people. They're coming to you. They're clicking a link and signing up. And Netflix says, and Netflix runs their numbers and says, how long does our average customer stay with us? And how many other, outside more expensive products or services they buy? Okay, yeah, Taylor, great, we'll do it. And she said, now, at the end of 36 months or the 37th month, if they want to keep it, they pay the current price. Netflix says, oh yeah, we're loving this. Now, I'm just making up the numbers. Let's say, 10 years ago, the price was $10 a month, $9.99. We'll just say $10. Taylor says, I want you to charge them $7, these first-time customers. Now, by my math, let's say 5 million of her customers take her up on this. The other 2 million, for whatever reason, already have Netflix or just not interested, or Hulu, whatever it is. And she says that 5 million people sign up, and they pay $7 a month now, remember. Well, if the deal is Netflix is charging 10, by my math, that means there's a $3 difference there per subscriber.
Mm-hmm.
Times 5 million, somebody want to do the math? I'd say it's enough. That's what goes in Taylor's pocket, right? So she's getting $3 a customer on 5 million customers, or X millions of customers. And that's just with Netflix. She gets a similar thing with Hulu. Now, here's my point. Taylor sends out a special email, and it's her sitting in the studio, and she's working on her new CD. She's got a guitar, and she's got her producers there, and she says, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share something with you. I want you to understand how I just made $100 million without going on tour, without putting out a record, without selling any merchandise. What? She says, I want to introduce you to the gentleman who helped me make this possible. She points and says, ladies and gentlemen, meet Mark Newsome, Mr. Marketing. Am I going to get some calls? Yeah. Are people going to say,
Open up a call center.
right? Who is Mark Newsome? Who is this Mr. Marketing guy? How did he help her make $100 million? She's just selling records, then going on tour, just selling merchandise. And then she explains that deal. And she said, no, I also have this deal with Hulu. And then she goes on to say she's put together some of her own stuff after seeing this concept. Like, okay, that was chicken feed. I'm doing this. And one of the things she says, ladies and gentlemen, once a month, when you Swifties tune in, I'm going to spin a wheel. And whichever charity comes up, I'm going to take 50 cents out of my $3, and I'm going to donate it to that charity. Ooh. So the haters can't hate quite as much, right?
Yeah, right.
Says, now, even though I get $3 out of this deal, Mr. Marketing gets $1 and I get $2. I mean, I am Taylor, okay? So you settle for $1 per subscriber per month for X number of months. Yeah, I'll do that.
I'll take that.
I'll take that. In fact, I'll take it a step further. I'll say, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do, Taylor. You only give me $1, but take the 25%, 25 cents, give it to the charity, take it out of my $1, and I only get 75 cents per subscriber for X. You follow? I know, what do I care? So the point is, I'm trying to show you, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the power of even? Now remember, Taylor's got a 7 million or whatever it is list. She sends an email to her list and says, tell me the number one product or service. If you could save 15% on or more, you'd be interested in. So she gets all of these responses and they just tally them up. That one. Then that's the next company she approaches. I've got 7 million subscribers and X percent of them said if they could save X on your product, they'd buy it. Are you interested? If they're not, should go to their competitor. This is the power of email. Now imagine, let's say Taylor Swift is a local company. She's got a 7 million name email list, and she sends out an extremely time-sensitive offer, not at one time, because she don't want to flood out a store, but say 1,500 people, 5,000 people, and she's sending them to Noah's store. Noah didn't have email yet. He thought email was old school. But he's making money because of email, and he doesn't even have his own email account. This is how powerful it might be, ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to open your mind to what's possible. Now, my friend, I'm chomping at the bit to hear your take on this, that you said, I think I know where you're going. Tell us what you have in mind.
Yeah, no, they that's all correct. And you see that too. Every time you go to a sports game or something on the Jumbotron, they have their offer, their opt-in offer. And there's hundreds of thousands of people sitting in the audience. 10%, I always use like the 10% conversion rule. 10% of those people are going to actually take action on that offer. And then boom, you do that every home game.
Right.
These companies probably have massive contact email lists that they can reach out to at any point in time.
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, man. Here's something else on the spinoff on the email. The Super Bowl. Now we're talking people in America that live in America know what Super Bowl is. If you're outside America, you may not know, but what we call football, soccer is football in other parts of the world. But we're talking about American football. In America, we have this championship game once a year called the Super Bowl, where the final two teams square off, and then one is crowned the champion. Do you know? I read this. No, you may have saw this too. This past Super Bowl, they were spending something like $8 million for 30 seconds.
For the Super Bowl ad?
Super Bowl ad. 30 seconds, $8 million. Now follow this. He just hit on something that I want you to get. There's 120 something million people watching the Super Bowl. Like he said, the 10% conversion. Okay, that's all good. What about this? Look at the 80 million people who made a much bigger commitment. They bought a ticket to go to the game. Now, when they're sitting there at halftime in the Jumbotron, here's what the NFL does. They say, enter this free drawing. Now, get this, for a chance. 2 people win tickets to the next 2 Super Bowls. In other words, they're really trying to hype you up to you're going to win round trip airfare, hotel, and private limo service around the town. And when the game is over, you get backstage passes to the winning team. They'll autograph the ball, and you even get to take 2 selfies with the game's MVP. This is all prearranged with the NFL. Now, here's my point. You got 80,000 people in the audience. They're far more likely to jump on an offer like that because they're at the game. They're not watching this on TV. You follow what I'm saying? Those 80,000, look at the long-term back-end offers. Like they could send an offer for authentic NFL gear, a signed football by the MVP of the game, and on and on and on. You follow what I'm saying? And that's just NFL stuff. They could set it up where if you don't have the NFL network, they'll give it to you at half price for 2 years. And then after that, if you want to keep it, you pay whatever the current rate is. Ladies and gentlemen, are you following me? And again, this is just email. And they're taking advantage of the fact that there's a live audience there, and they're ethically bribing you. Oh, and I didn't tell you the other part, that they say the 2 people you win this, and they say you can bring any 2 friends you want. They got to be at least 18. And it's the same thing. We're going to put them up in a hotel. We're going to chauffeur them around in a limo or a van or something, and we'll give you
Mm-hmm.
credit where you can eat for the 2 days you're there or whatever the deal is. So 4 people are going to win this for two Super Bowls, the next two Super Bowls. Out of those 80,000 people, man, I bet you can get 75 to 90% of those people going to opt in for that. Because remember, if you don't win that, you're going to still win some really cool secondary prizes like the
Right.
info package for the next 24 months at 60% off or X or whatever it is. They're going to do a lot of commerce, is the point. Now, if anybody out there knows anybody in NFL or knows any of Taylor Swift's inner circle, and you put this together for us, I'm cutting you in. Okay, I just out there, right? So Noah and I are going to hook you up. So, but the point is, like, you see what I'm saying? This is not difficult, and like he already said, they're already doing stuff like this anyway. This is just all I'm saying is 8 plus 2, and they're saying, yeah, we thought about that. Okay, we're doing 9 plus 1. But the point is, you're sitting here saying, okay, Mark, but wait a minute, I don't have email and I don't have Super Bowl tickets. No, you don't. But you have valuable products and services that people want. And your vendors, now follow this and all. Guess what your vendors have, ladies and gentlemen? When you ask the magic question, is it okay if I periodically refer your business? And by the same token, as long as it doesn't take away from anything you're currently doing, are you okay with returning favor? They say yes. Guess what your vendors have? They have customers that they've spent a ton of money, effort, resources, and money to get. They have employees, and they have vendors, have customers, employees, and other vendors. That's what you're tapping into when you network and joint venture with your vendors and your suppliers. You're sitting on a gold mine.
That alone right there, if somebody can exercise
Oh,
that,
if you exercise
yeah.
that, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this, and I'm kind of at the 30,000 square foot view. When you get down in the trenches, you're going to see stuff I didn't see, and you say, whoa,
Yeah.
this. I could hook that with that, test this, eliminate that, and now you got your own patented giveaway or something that you can license. That was the word. Other people outside your area, because they say, no, you can't possibly do business all over America. You know, you got a website. What if we licensed your winning ad or this strategy? Noah says, of course. You know, $2,000 a month, run with it. And he gets doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, you see what I mean? I hope. No, I don't know if we hit it out of the park. But ladies and gentlemen, if you walk away from this saying you didn't get any new ideas, sadly, I'm not your guy. And I apologize, I failed you. Okay? But
I don't think that's the case
I hope
because
not. I know there's something in there you and I can at least test and get this thing up.
absolutely,
In fact,
absolutely.
if we got time, I want to share one more simple take on this, how to take a one-time customer and blast it into a long-term repeat customer. Let's say you have an ice cream shop and you got this frozen yogurt thing or an ice cream cone, big thing. You know, it's going to cost $3, $4, but the truth cost, your hard cost is $1. Again, Noah's Appliance. Noah comes in and says, I'm the ice cream guy. And Noah comes in and, his wife loves this one particular frozen yogurt, so he has to go get it for her. And we talk, we become friends. And so he said, Mark, man, how much is it a hard cost to this thing? And I said, oh, man, $1.50, the cone 50 cents, and the ice cream's $1, and I charge $3. And he says, man, no offense, your customer base is pretty much my customer base. I'm like, really? He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will spend $1.50, $10,000 worth of this stuff. $1.50, so that's, what is that, $15,000, whatever. I wasn't great at math in school, no, but whatever it comes out to, Noah says, I'll pay that hard cost so you're not out of anything. And on your slowest days, the first X number of women that come through, get a cone to them free. Now remember, he's paying my cost. So word spreads that on Tuesdays and Sundays or whatever it is, you come in, the first X amount of ladies get this thing free. They're coming in like, and what do you think I'm going to do if the cutoff's 2 o'clock and there's still a line of women out there? You think I'm going to deny them? Heck no. I'm going to give it to them. But here's the point. They go back and they tell their whole crew about this offer I got, right? Now, here's my point. Of course, I'm going to be giving them a sealed envelope that says you definitely deserve this, exclamation point. and inside is going to be Noah's offer, extremely time sensitive offer, and mine. That's why Noah's doing it. So he's
Wow.
paying $1.50 a lead. Do you think he's happy? I think so.
I'll
And
take
he
that.
knows for every 1,000 women that take him up on this offer, excuse me, maybe 40% of them or more are going to drag a friend. So this is McDonald's. Would you like fries with that? All
Yeah.
over again.
Cycle
You,
repeats.
you see what I'm saying? This is not difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more out here than you and I will take advantage of in 10 lifetimes. But you got to get open.
Yeah. That's
That's
why I like having these kind of conversations because open up the idea that there's other ways. There's other five plus
more than
five,
that.
nine
Yeah,
plus one.
exactly. We're saying, oh, 6 plus 4, 6 plus 1. Mark, do you realize there's 7 plus 3, 8 plus 2, 9 plus 1, 6 plus 4, and that's just addition. What if we put a little multiplication and subtraction in it? Then you know what the problem becomes. No, they say, I
Wow.
don't know where to start. And they're overwhelmed. So we don't want to
Yeah.
overwhelm you, but we want
Yeah.
to hit you with enough low-hanging fruit that when you come off this thing, you say, wow, these guys are right. We are sitting on a potential gold mine. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know most small businesses don't have any way to get inactive customers back? They haven't figured that out.
Hmm.
Your low-end offer might be the catalyst to get them back. In other words, just for coming back, you're going to save 10% with us or whatever they can afford. But we also got this special coupon from our partner, Noah's Appliance. And no one knows what his lifetime customer value is. And that's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. I've been a little derelict in my excitement. I want you to go to Google and YouTube, and I want you to put in what is total lifetime customer value or lifetime value of a customer. Watch a couple of videos. You have the concept down so you'll know what you can afford. And then it's just a matter of getting creative. That's all. And that's all I've done. I heard Noah say 8 plus 2, and I said 6 plus 4. That's all I've done. I
Yeah.
just changed the players around because I know the fundamentals. And after listening to stuff like this a couple of times, you're going to know it too. And I guarantee you a couple of things. You'll get invites, and you can start sharing some of this stuff. But what you're really looking for is potential partners.
Hmm.
That's how your business is going to explode. Now, I guarantee you, if Noah takes this concept of going around his customer and offering some of the small business owners who are cigar lovers a free cigar, word is going to spread, and out of that, somebody's going to suggest something neither one of us would have thought of, and he'll have a new marketing strategy right there. They might want to partner up. Like, for instance, if you sell coffee, like say I got my coffee shop, Noah comes to me and he says, Mark, here's what I want to do. Since you're active on social media, you do your little Facebook Live, I want you to come in my store on my slowest day, Tuesday. I want you to do live, and I want you to give away this free big gulp coffee. We're going to pour it. They can't be walking around the store because, they might pour it on something. It'll be a little simple. They have in the store. And you'll give them that first cup free and say, hey, I'm right out here, at the other end of the strip mall. And when you come back from now on, you bring that cup, instead of paying $11.99, you only pay $3. Now, it's goodwill on the part of him because his customers come in, they get the coffee. It's my coffee. It's my mug. He paid for it. But the point is, I'm getting goodwill, and so is he. Because you say, yeah, on Tuesdays, man, this guy, yeah, he comes in, that guy, the bakery guy, he comes in and he gives away pastries and all this stuff. Noah's buying it from me at cost. So I'm not out of anything, but they're sampling my product. Word of mouth. I call it word of Seth Godin. I got this from Seth Godin. Word of mouth and word of mouse. You follow what I'm saying?
Word of mouth. Yeah.
So I don't know what more to say. No, if we haven't covered all the bases, man, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a podcast, but this is more like a Mark Newsome
I
masterclass
hope so,
because
bro.
you
I hope
you
so.
really put us on game. And out of respect of your time, I do want to ask you a question that I'm, personally curious about. Where do you see the future of marketing heading? I know we talked a lot about email marketing. Where do you think in the next 10-ish years do you see like this world of marketing heading? I know some of these practices we talk about are still going to be effective and still can be useful, but do you see like maybe some more strategies or some strategies that worked in the past that could come back and be used again?
All of the above, but I'm going to say this, ladies and gentlemen. A, I have no idea, but I'm going to tell you this. You start embracing the free Chat GPT,
Okay.
and you're going to have more concepts than you know what to do with, my friend. AI is gonna do what social media did to the internet. I mean, it's already doing it, but I mean, it's gonna put it on levels we don't even see. But
Mm,
it's gonna really expand this thing. Forget artificial intelligence. I mean, where you're paying for the tools, the free tools is enough
yeah.
to move you and I off center. And I mean, I use it now to get hooks for my articles. You know what I'm saying? And then
Oh yeah.
plus I need a 1,500 word article just so I can read it and get a couple ideas. You know what I'm saying? And I don't verbatim use what, oh, I like that. Oh, I never thought of that. There, you're off to the races. And I use it for my LinkedIn post. And by the way, you're going to be getting a connection from me for LinkedIn, so look for that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody listening, I'm sure, Mark, you're more than open and willing to take on a call or do some consulting with anybody that has any questions. I know I have a network of some business owners, and I'm sure if they were to reach out, you would be open to doing something like that. Where can they
that's
find you
why
at
I'm
online?
here. Hello. All they got to, hey,
Do
just
you
make
want
sure
to?
you say you are a friend or a full associate of this man right here, and let's do it.
He'll give you your 10% off.
No, I mean,
That's
I'm
the
serious.
offer.
I do
Bring
free
two
consultation.
friends.
Free consultation, man, because I want to see you do well. Because, you know, think of it like this way. Let's say I'm his financial planner and I've been giving him these stock tips and he hasn't been paying attention. But the one time I put him on to something called Facebook, he made money. I put him
Mm,
on something called Starbucks, he made money. He's going to spread the word. When they say, no, how'd you get this 7-figure portfolio? Oh, man, you got to talk to my guy over here. Mark knows a financial plan. This guy's fabulous, man. That's what's going to happen. So the
so
money's
true.
going to be there.
And that's going to happen right after this because I'm so fired up that when I get done, I'm going to make a phone call. Yo, I just spoke to this gentleman, Mark Newsome. He put me onto all these different ideas.
I'm going
That's
to
really
send
going
you
to
the
happen.
link so you
So
can watch it for yourself. So then when we collaborate, meaning you and him, we'll have even more ideas. That's what it's about. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm
yeah.
telling you, that's what this is about. In fact, I like to say this. How is it possible? I heard one of my coaches say this, and I never thought about this, Noah. He said, ladies and gentlemen, every second of every day, billions of dollars change hands on the internet. Every second of every day, 365 days a year. He says, now here's my question to you. Think of the internet as a fire hydrant. It's on full tilt, and you're standing in front of it. How is it you don't get wet?
Hmm.
How is all this money being made on the internet every day, and you're not seeing any of it? Billions of dollars changing hands. You say, oh, you can't make money on the internet. Excuse me? There's opportunity out here plenty, but you got to be open. So this
Yeah.
gentleman and myself, our job in this short time we had together was to try to get you more open. And I hope we've done that.
I hope so. Man, that was a masterclass, Mark. I feel like I need to like pay you now for your time because you just
You will,
provided
my
so much
friend, spread
value,
my
man.
name and you will pay me in spades. That's all I
Absolutely.
ask. That's all I
You
and
want to
anytime you want to brainstorm, man, we will brainstorm for free. I'm serious.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna stay in contact for sure. And then just to sum it up, obviously I'm gonna have some links down in the description of the video on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so they can find your website, your blog. And
Yeah,
then
put my blog in there, excuse me, and my LinkedIn address, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut it. But
no, that's what I was gonna ask. Is there anything you want to plug? You
yeah,
have
ladies and
anything
gentlemen,
going on?
my self-hosted WordPress blog is you can don't skip any spaces, no hyphens. You can marketonline now.com.
Mm,
You can marketonline now.com. And then LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/ask Mark Mark Newsome Newsome. That's me on LinkedIn.
That's awesome, man. And just to return the favor too, I have a background in media production, video production and stuff. So if you ever need some help or, just a little bit of tidbits like, hey, no, I want to do this. What's the best way I can go about setting this up? Man, I'm just like you. I'd love to provide some value
I
as well.
hope you don't end up regretting those words, my friend, because I'm going to take you up
Oh,
on it.
please do. Please do. And it's been an honor to meet you. I hope this turns
Likewise.
into a relationship
Likewise.
that we can circle back in the future
Absolutely.
because this was
Absolutely.
very powerful, man.
Okay, but sounds good.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate
Okay.
you, brother.
Take care.